Everybody out there. This meeting is being recorded. Thanks to everybody out there for joining us. Really appreciate it. Our two-part program today on what is emerging to be a sunny day here in Kitsap. We're going to start off with Nancy Austin, who runs the BEST program out of Kitsap Community Resources, which has been training Kitsap entrepreneurs for decades. And sometimes they build small businesses, sometimes they build big businesses. And it's a really great resource in our community. So we want to hear all about that. And we're going to talk to two local business owners and entrepreneurs who have been working through the pandemic and talk to them about what their 2020 was and what their 2021 is looking like. Very different industries. One's close to home. If you're in South Kitsap, it's the beloved institution known as the Manchester Grill. So we have Laurieann Aladin from that company, and it's great view out on Seattle here in South Kitsap. By the way, I'm in Port Orchard if you don't know, so a little partial. And Manny Bautista of Blue Trident, which is a major contractor and works with the defense industry, naval installations, and all kinds of things. So we'll hear more about Manny's business and how it's gone over the course of the last year and what it's looking like this year. Next week, please, we would love it if you could advertise this. We've been working really hard on it. It is the Kitsap BIPOC Business Forum, and it is from 6 to 7:30 p.m. It is online, and it is going to be sort of a program in two parts. After we welcome attendees, people who are Black, Indigenous, and people of color who own businesses, are entrepreneurs or want to be entrepreneurs, and their supporters. You know, after a welcoming that will feature Commissioner Garrido, Mayor Greg Wheeler of Bremerton, and Faye Flemister, who is also a one-person institution in Bremerton, wonderful person. We're going to have a two-part block that'll be, the first session is kind of a listening and connection session, hosted none other than by the great Jamie Forsyth, who's with us today from Kitsap Small Business Development Center, connecting and listening about business. And the second block features three different technical providers: the Minority Business Development Agency of the Northwest, based out of Tacoma, Nancy Austin and the BEST program, more on how you can get trained up to be an entrepreneur, and Kitsap's Chamber of Commerce and what they can offer small businesses. So please join us for that. And if you can't, please tell 2 or 3 people about it. We want to be serving all parts of our community, and this is part of how we're doing that. All right. Without further ado, I think we can move into our first block, and the great Nancy Austin, who runs this wonderful program in Kitsap. Nancy, thanks for joining us today. Appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me today. I really appreciate it. The BEST program is currently with KCR, and it stands for Business Education Support and Training. So this is our logo that you may see around. Our mission, when we merged the program into Kitsap Community Resources, we tried to merge the two missions. And so our particular mission is to provide business training and a network of supportive community services to enterprising individuals at all income levels, and especially those with limited financial resources, to help people gain financial security and success through small business ownership. It's kind of a long-winded one, but that kind of gets the point there of what we do. Next. The BEST program was originally Washington Cash, which is a community alliance for self-help. It's a nonprofit out of Seattle, and we were one of the satellite locations, which was started in 2001, actually, here in Kitsap. So it's just about 20 years that we've been doing it here. And I've been involved in the program in various iterations since that time. So in 2013, the Cash program decided they weren't going to do satellite offices anymore, so we worked with KCR to take on the program. We are primarily grant funded at this point, so both city and county community development block grant money. And as the only micro enterprise development organization in Kitsap County, we also get funds from the Washington State Micro Enterprise Association. So because we are grant funded, our big push has been to help get underserved people involved, BIPOC community, low income people, to help people actually become self-sufficient. And we've had over 1,400 graduates from Kitsap County here since we've been doing this. I see we have Dina Schultz on here who went through the program. Next. So our basic business class is what we're known for. And that is 8 2.5-hour sessions designed to teach basic business skills. And the basic foundation is, are you ready to get your business started? You know, do you have support in your life? What is it personally that you need to be successful? And a lot of times we see people who have financial issues. Maybe they don't have their personal financial life together. So we start with the basic building blocks. Help them with their budget so they actually have a place to start, because you really can't start a business if you don't have some money to do that. We take them through exercises to help them define what their business is. We move into branding and marketing. And the design of the program is to start with one basic building block and then build on them each week. Sales plans, and we spent 2 weeks on knowing your numbers, because that's really critical for people. How to figure out what they're going to cost, what their costs are, how they're going to price their services or their products, and then into cash flow, break even, and profit and loss. Because if you don't have cash flow, you don't really have a business that can be sustainable. We also talk about organizing your business, from picking what are you going to be a sole proprietor, an LLC? Are you going to become a corporation? We walk you through all of that. And business systems, you need to have good time management. You need an accounting system. It's all really important and critical pieces. And what at the end of the 8 weeks, we hope that you have a basic business plan. Now, it's not a business plan that you would take for to get funding or anything like that, but it gives you the basic foundation to create your business. And what we want to do with our program is get these people their basic information and then help them and refer them on to people like Jamie at the Small Business Development Center, who can take businesses that have the potential to grow and help them actually with their business plans and moving forward. We also like to use KDH as well, because where we're located, we have some people that want to do government contracting, and so we refer them to KDH to help with that as well. So we really want to build a coalition of partners to help our graduates be successful in what they do. We are also not, this is not in the slides, but we are also a SEEP approved program, which is through Employment Security. So that stands for Self-Employment Self-Employment Assistance Program. So if you're unemployed and you don't want to find another job, but really want to start a business, you can come through our program, and we sign saying that you're participating weekly, so you don't actually have to look for another job. So depending on what time it is in the year, we get a lot of SEEP people, and sometimes we don't get too many. Right now, when people don't have to look for work to get their unemployment, we don't have too many people. But the people we do see through the SEEP program are very enterprising. They're the ones that really want to get going now and not wait until they run out of unemployment. We also do advanced workshops on different topics. We did a series in the first quarter of this year about building business resilience in these times. And then we moved on to putting your business online, rebranding and remarketing your business, and a few things like that. So we were doing 2 advanced workshops a month this last winter and spring, just to help people get some more resources. We also do one-on-one consulting. This means if you have a specific topic like marketing or taxes, we find somebody that can help you and work one-on-one with you. Our staff here also does help. And financial management workshops at KCR. The BEST program is part of a business and financial education department. So part of that is financial education and financial literacy. So if you're in our program, especially at the beginning, and you don't have your finances in order, we put you into our financial management workshop program where somebody will sit down with you, help you with your budget, get your credit score, work on your credit. And we also have community partners to help with that as well. We do networking events. We have in the past. We hope to do so again. We did some with SCORE. We did some joint programs in probably 2019 was the last time we were able to do that. However, we really hope that come this fall, we'll be able to get back into doing some networking events. Excuse me. So our big thing is to help people, help micro businesses in Kitsap County grow. So we always share this with people that it's important to support your small local businesses because they create more jobs and than a lot of other larger companies do. And it is a great way to help people if they're struggling financially. And you don't have to come through our program and start a big business. We have a lot of people who want to start a side hustle, something that they can do that bring in extra money to their family to help them survive. So we help people from the person who wants to do a dog walking business all the way up to some people who start really large businesses. We have several that have gone over the $500,000 mark when they come through our program. So it really hits all kinds of people. And we would like to grow the program. We would like to have better outreach to some of the BIPOC community, which is why we're presenting in the program next week, which we encourage everybody to attend. And in any way you can get the word out, we have a final slide that we present here that gives you contact information here. So if you know people that want to come through our program, you can refer them to us. They can either email us at best@kcr.org, or I think my on the next slide is my contact information as well. And if anybody has any questions or would like to know more about the program, we're more than happy to provide that to you. We really appreciate the opportunity. And I see that Karina from the library popped on there too. And Karina's been a big supporter of our program. She comes and does a presentation about all the resources that the library has available to help people start their businesses.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay, thank you, Nancy. What is the cost for both the basic program and the additional services? I know that there is a sliding scale, or there used to be. So is that still in place?
Yep. Yeah, we do have a sliding scale. So it starts at, if you have no income qualifications, meaning you're already in business or you make over what the 80% of the area median income is, then it's $249, which is still pretty cheap for an 8-week basic business course. And then it's sliding scale if you're moderate income or low income. So it's either $60, $125, or $249. And that's for the basic business class. And after that, everything's free. So our financial education is free. Our advanced workshops are free. The one-on-one mentoring is free. We have volunteers that provide those services. So it's a really good financial deal.
Excellent.
Oh, there's Abel Smith on there too. Yeah, he's a best grad. So
Gina,
we're happy to see a lot of our grads participating.
Great, yeah. And if I could just ask people to put the questions in the Q&A, because sometimes they get lost in the conversation and chat, just to make it easy so I don't miss them. Gina does ask, is there an age minimum to go through the BEST program?
I've actually never had that question. I don't think so. We have actually done a teen BEST program in the past, so yeah, I don't see why not. There would be. And right now we've been doing them all online, but we're taking the summer off to regroup. And in September, we're going to go back to in-person classes, we hope. That's
Cool.
our plan, at least.
I know in the past, pre-COVID, of course, you guys also had an annual event where your clients could kind of show off their services and products. Do you see that coming back?
No, as part of our reorganization, we're not going to do that. It just wound up being a lot of drain on staff and not a lot of return for all the
Mhm.
effort and sometimes getting the past grads to come back. It was a struggle, and so
It's a
we won't be
struggle.
doing that.
Okay. Is there a online directory of graduates, perhaps?
We're working on that. That's one of the projects we're going to be working on over
Oh,
the summer.
super.
We're doing a newsletter, which is going out this month for the first time to our grads, and an online directory is the next step. So we have a lot of things we're going to work on over the summer while we take June and July off from classes.
Perfect. Kiaha is asking, is there job placement or mentor shadowing with businesses through BEST?
Not through BEST per se. KCR has those type of programs for their Workforce Investment Act things, where if we had a BEST person that needed help, their program could provide an intern-like position for people, if that's what she's getting at.
Okay, I also know that some of the school districts through their career technical education programs sometimes will do some job shadowing if they, can, depending on what program it is and what businesses are cooperating with them. And job placement, if you're looking for, a no fee service, your best option is WorkSource. And they've been doing some online job fairs, and they've been trying to be a little more innovative as well.
Yeah. Now,
Yeah.
KCR does have a lot of job opportunities. We had a job fair a while back and we had some BEST grads participating in for their businesses.
Yeah, and I know Olympic College sometimes does a job fair as well. Any other questions for Nancy about the BEST program? Nancy, you might want to just put your contact info again in the chat so people can grab it there if they didn't screenshot or take it down from the slideshow. Last call, questions for Nancy. I know I have been off and on affiliated with Cash and now BEST through the years. I think it's a fantastic program. And I will also give a shout out to the library. I use their services for their online research probably at least once a week. So if you are not using Data Axle or demographics now, well, that's just silly if you need to get data for your company, because it's free. And if you're not sure how to use it, you just call and they will assist you with it.
I do want to add one thing is you don't have to be a person that is just thinking about starting a business to take our program. We've had some small businesses who are already in business. They come through our program, so they learn the basic skills of what they should be doing for pricing and marketing and those types of things. So works for both.
Excellent. All right, I don't see any other questions. So Joe, I'm going to turn it to you.
Thanks. And it occurs to me that I need a different bridge in my image, but we'll fix that later. More Kitsap centric background images coming your way in the next few months from Kita. One of the things that I really love about the BEST program is, I think when I first talked to Nancy, I said, so how many people do you think this is trained? And she was like, yeah, I think we've probably produced upwards of 75 entrepreneurs. And that's huge. With like a rate of if 10 people take the classes, more than 50% are starting businesses. And that's just really big. And these are the kinds of programs in different geographies that always produce results. Nancy, did you want to add anything to that?
No, just like I said, I went back and looked at our numbers. We've done 1,400 businesses where City of Bremerton and county, and although I think anywhere from Bainbridge Island to Gig Harbor to Mason County. So we've added quite a few businesses in the greater community.
I'm so sorry. Maybe it was 75% start businesses. So you've added 1,400 businesses to this community through the BEST program?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
that's colossal. Those numbers are absolutely massive. And that's economic development that works. So thank you so much for doing that, Nancy. And we're big allies and big supporters. Really appreciate you. All right, so now we're going to talk to two businesses, very different, one on the south end of Kitsap, one on the north end of Kitsap, that do different work. We're going to talk to them about what their year has been like. So we're going to start with Laurieann Aladin, and I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly, Laurieann.
Laurieann Aladin.
Aladin, I
Aladin.
apologize. Can you tell us the story of the Manchester Grill up until the start of the pandemic?
Sure. So my husband and I purchased the Manchester Grill in May of 2019. And I want to pause there for just a moment, right? Because you're new business to us, not to the community, but to us. And we were just starting to really see it create a turn and building some momentum. And then the pandemic hit. We were, we closed, for 3 weeks immediately, just to kind of get our heads wrapped around what to do about this. Takeout for our restaurant is really, there's not a very active market for that, a little bit more in summertime, but that certainly is not how our business was set up and to work that way solely. But I can say that our focus and attention really, really needed to come back and go, wait a second, we need to keep our customers safe. We need to keep our staff safe. We want to stay safe. We supported the closure. About 3 weeks with that, we pivoted to solely doing takeout, and we carried that model through summertime and all the way into, I'd say, fall around October, mid-October, when we were starting to see evidence that numbers at that point were beginning to drop, COVID numbers, right, cases. And then a month after that, we had to close back down again. We opened up in mid-October for limited dine-in, but then mid-November we had to close back down again. So we did takeout for another couple of months, but takeout, especially in a seasonal business, it's right by the water. It wasn't enough to really sustain it. So we closed for a couple of months until we could open back up to 50% capacity, which is where we're at right now. So that's just sort of the bare bones of the timeline through all of this. What I can say is that some really good things came during this dark year as well, okay? For our staff that was working, and we're used to being able to work while the children are at school, now have been presented with this real problem of how do we go to work? Where are our kids going to be? Do they have access to Wi-Fi? Who's helping to take care of them and helping them with their homework? How are we going to do this as a business? And so one of our rooms, which is still kind of closed off, if anyone comes and sees, they'll see a room that's got a kind of curtain there. We called it the family room or the Zoom room. And parents would come to work and they would bring their children and they sit in there and they had, it was a warm, clean place to be. They could access all their classes. They could ask their parents for help on their homework or any of us that were around. And so that was something that worked really well. There's another entrepreneur in Kitsap County, Steve Segal. I want to give a big shout out to him. He and his wife own the Dock Bar and Eatery, but he also was one of the founders of a program called Full Circle Meals. So our restaurant was one of the handful of participating restaurants involved in this. And for those who are not familiar with this program, it was sort of this win-win-win situation. It sourced money through fundraising and grants. That money would go to restaurants that would prepare food, so many meals a week, and that would then go to homeless shelters, veterans' homes, those who were food insecure in other ways. And it helped to boost people's morale throughout this past year. And it wasn't enough to necessarily keep restaurants afloat, but it was enough to help patch things together in between other grants and avenues that our restaurant and other businesses out there were trying to explore in order to be able to continue to stay afloat. And that's it. And, you know, looking at this year so far, I'd have to say things, you know, the market's opening back up. Things are clearly moving in the right direction, but we are still a ways away from really being up to where we were before.
Well, thank you for that. And thanks for also bringing up the story of Full Circle Meals. That's a story that we actually haven't explored, at least from the Kita side. And a big thanks to Steve Seago and Corrine Haydock for their work on that.
Yeah.
It did help a lot of different restaurants throughout Kitsap County sort of keep things spinning and moving and just kept momentum going, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. And I'd also actually like to give a big shout out to the Kitsap, and I'm going to KCR, because they also had offered grants out there too, you know, and we benefited from that. And so again, if I haven't thanked you enough, here's another round of appreciation. So you know, while it was a very depressing year, right? We're not entirely on the other side of COVID yet. And the fact that it lasted a whole lot longer than I think it's safe to say almost anybody had anticipated. If I were to get really quiet with it for a moment, there were some good things that came from it too. And I think that my staff at the restaurant became a lot tighter and closer. I think, you know, the community, Manchester community in particular, is a very close-knit community. And to see them come out and support us through all of this was just beautiful, you know, really, really nice. So, but that said, you know, I'm done with this COVID business, and I'm looking forward to things moving forward in the right direction. And I've heard, you know, words out there, people talking about when things get back to the new sense of normal again, that we're going to be experiencing almost like take two of the Roaring 20s. And I say, bring it on. I'm so excited for that time.
That's great to hear, and we're excited for you. And here's to a great second half of the year, Laurieann.
Thank you.
Manny, the same question for you. What's the story of Blue Trident up until February 2020?
Yeah, well, thanks for having me. I think my experience is probably vastly different than Laurieann's. I know the restaurant industry was hit pretty hard. Just some background on my business. We're a small business, but we do multidisciplinary engineering design, and we're also a general construction contractor. And within, you know, those two business lines, we had, again, vastly different, you know, experiences with COVID. The good thing is that we do business primarily with the government, primarily the VA, DOD, Park Services, Fish and Wildlife. And during the pandemic, the government just kept spending, as you know. So for us, you know, that's a blessing. We have 3 offices right now, and another, you know, difference of experiences there. We have an office in Florida, which is primarily a construction office, and there was no impact, you know, to what we were doing out there. We have an office. We just opened an office in San Diego. Our business plan had that for 2020 to open a business in an office in San Diego. We opened that in November 2020, right when California locked everything down. You know, so there was an impact there as far as ramping up that business. But in general, we had a great 2020. Like I said, the government continued to spend. We were fortunate to have a contract that was basically a staffing augment contract for the VA. And because they still needed you know, support with their construction and engineering program, they continued to have us come to work as soon as, you know, we got tested and we, you know, had the proper PPE. We were able to go to work and adhere to the VA protocols at the Seattle hospital, the campus. And that sustained us for the whole time. So engineering wise, all of our clients in the Northwest, and like I said, primarily VA, continue to push their projects, and we were able to do all those projects remotely with really no impact, And the funny thing is, just before the pandemic here in Washington, I was looking for office space, because we started out in 2012, and for many years we're a dispersed workforce, and in 2019 we felt it was time to get an office space in the city or on Bainbridge Island. And then the pandemic hit. So kind of glad I didn't pull the trigger on getting an office, because it would have been empty, right? So, and one of the things that is going to endure from all this this year of pandemic is this dispersed workforce idea. A lot of companies in my industry are going to continue to keep people working remotely, a portion of their workforce, and we are going to do the same. So again, engineering continued to go well. We had good contracts, and we continue working on all our designs remotely. On the construction side, that was really different, especially the projects we were managing out of Washington. Many of those were just deferred because the government didn't have people that were willing to go out on site, to meet with us and work with us on the site. So a lot of the on-site meetings got canceled, deferred. A lot of the startups of projects, were delayed. And for the people we have working for us on construction projects, of course, that, they go from project to project. If they're not working on a project, they're basically inactive. So our job is to continue to have a good backlog of construction so that those folks continue to work. So we had some impacts there, and what we tried to do to keep people off unemployment, off the unemployment line, was we actually got one of the PPP loans, and we pretty much devoted that to our construction folks, and kept them working, just on overhead functions, just to keep them sustained and not having to claim for unemployment. And so we were very appreciative of having that opportunity to use that money to support those folks. But again, on the engineering side, not so much of a problem. What I'm seeing, though, is the problem is going to be in 2021 and beyond. Because what happened with the government, even though they continue to spend, they also had to relook at their priorities and funding allocation. So, for example, the VA had to concentrate on the COVID, basically the pandemic, and taking care of their patients, and making sure, their doctors had PPE, and making sure, some of the operational things were funded. So the nice to have things, or the facility deferred maintenance and some of the new projects had to get kicked down the road. And there's a really large program enterprise-wide for the VA that represented, upwards of $1 billion across their enterprise, that they just started pulling money out of that and started applying it to all their operational needs. So that program, which we were lining up for, is now deferred for indeterminate period of time, and that's going to depend on when they get their funding and how, what kind of allocation need to make to their operations. Same with the DoD. There's a couple of programs that got pushed to the right, and we're not clear when those are going to start kicking back in again. And the other thing is that these agencies, because of the pandemic, sent their workforce home. So a lot of the projects that they would typically push out weren't being pushed out. And so we're seeing that that gap is now floating to us now in the present. And so that's what our concern is. 2020 was fine. It was a really great year revenue-wise. It kept our people employed, but it's vastly different this first quarter, second quarter of 2021 compared to last year. And what we're really pushing hard now that it's almost back to face-to-face, people come back to work in the agencies, to start pushing some more business development and try to resurrect some of those projects that we thought were going to happen, end of 2020, that we'd be working on in 2021. Well, we're trying to resurrect those and make sure that we're still lined up for some of that. So kind of a mixed bag. But again, I think but compared to the restaurant industry and some other industries, I think we are blessed and able to keep everybody working. But I think for us, the future is a little bit murky. But we're going to deal with it. We've adopted some of those things I told you about. The remote working, remote meetings are fixtures now in our business. Even remote site visits, where the government is going to be our eyes and ears and just send us pictures of what we need to see. So there's a lot of those kind of adaptations happening in our industry. And there's also a lot of opportunities. One of the things that myself and a few of the CEOs in this industry have looked at is, where do you need to be post-COVID? How should you frame your work and your workforce so that you're going to succeed, with the new requirements coming out. And again, VA example is there's a lot of discussion about the ventilation systems, and isolation wards, for a future pandemic, right? So they're re-looking at how their facilities are configured, and so in our industry, everybody's looking at those opportunities, and if you're smart, you get ahead of it.
The couple things. One is that I see the great Kathy Kokos. Everybody's great that I get to work with. I'm excited. Kathy has posted links to the Washington and the Kitsap Procurement Technical Assistance Center, or PTAC. That's a program that she runs. So if you're interested out there in the audience doing more business with any government entity like Manny does, check out PTAC, click those links. Second thing is that, the last recession we had was a general contraction that affected everybody, right? And part of the story I think we're hearing today is the story of different industries doing well, some industries struggling. Some industries, there's an industry that isn't on the call, it's the tech industry that's just done this, and oh wait, no, I've got my mirror backwards, I can't do it. But all it has done is ramp up, right? Because everything's been remote and everything's been technology based, and whether it's a streaming service or you're ordering your groceries online, or you need new pressure washing nozzles, you're probably buying them online and having them shipped to your home. And there's kind of no end in sight. So it's interesting to hear Manny say, well, our year was good, now I'm worried. And of course, Laurieann is in very good company. The hospitality industry, the tourism industry, many industries that require in-person personal interaction have just been hammered over the course of the last year. But we're all pretty optimistic about the back half of 2021. And I do think that I do think that you'll both be very pleasantly surprised. That's my hope and that's my guess. I'm just like anybody else, I don't have a crystal ball. Let me ask a question to both Laurie and Manny about inputs. Ooh, nerdy word. So what about the costs that you're seeing in your work? Are the inputs, the things you need to buy to run your business, have you noticed any price changes?
Yes.
Okay, let's hear about it, Laurieann.
Well, prices of food have gone up. Just for an example, the price of cooking oil has increased 400%. Aside from food prices going up, we serve cod, for example. We do a lot of seafood, and there's a shortage right now. And then fuel prices. What is it going to cost to transport food and other items that one requires to have to operate a restaurant, and all of that. Yeah, it's those have increased, and I suspect that that's going to continue on for a little while. I would imagine for at least another several months, and then it will start to hopefully balance back out again.
Manny,
Yeah.
on your end?
Yeah, same in the construction industry, which is booming right now. And of course, you have heard of Biden's infrastructure bill, which is going to fund a lot of transportation projects. There are a lot of projects out there moving full speed ahead. The logistics chain has been impacted by the pandemic. So lumber is up, concrete, everything is pricey. Plus you're competing against a lot of firms, to get the material. The other day, we were discussing a project with the VA that had to do with heating and ventilation systems, designing, a system for their the Seattle campus, which included replacing, air handling units and digital controls. And we had to talk about delays with anything that involved chips. Anything that has chips, there's a long lead time. And even in my own life, I just ordered appliances and I said, okay, hope you got some time. You're not expecting it this summer. So chips, there's a shortage, and everything is experiencing, and the logistics chain is experiencing delays, and the prices are going up. So absolutely, yeah.
Another question for the pair of you as we head toward the end of the hour. What is it that this community can do to support or be a better partner to your business? I'll shoot this one to you, Laurieann.
Okay.
And it's my hope that, gosh, we ordered takeout every week during the pandemic. Maybe I ordered a little too much takeout. Okay, I ordered a little too much takeout. I'm trying to burn it off. But Laurieann, what is it that coming out of this pandemic, how can neighborhood companies matter, local companies matter? What can we do to be great partners and supporters of the Manchester Grill?
Oh, thank you for that question. Frequent our place, whether it's takeout, a gift certificate. We really appreciate that kind of business and support. It helps us keep a staff going and allows us to continue to run. So, any kind of shout out through social media, anything like that would always be very, very helpful. Yeah, I mean, I think that's probably the big thing. And I think the other thing too is a little bit of patience. Our restaurant is doing something that some other restaurants have decided to do as well. We're working with a modified menu. We're not back to our original menu quite yet, because we're only at 50% capacity, and we're waiting to get to the other side of this before we can, incorporate some of the other favorite dishes that we used to have before, or brunches on the weekends and things like that. It's so with time we will start to seek some normalcy. But to answer your question again very concretely, tell your friends and your neighbors and everybody to come and frequent our place. We love it, and we want our restaurant to survive and to thrive, but we also care about all the other restaurants in the area too. That together we all make up the community that is Kitsap.
Absolutely. Eat local and be patient, and be kind while you're at it. Everybody's trying to get through this,
Right.
Anyway, Manny, what about your business, and what's the kind of support you'd like to see in Kitsap as we come out of this pandemic?
Our business lives and dies on the federal agencies and their budgets and their priorities. So, we are dependent on that. So people in Kitsap aren't going to buy our product or, our services. It's mostly the federal government. But we are trying to support local restaurants. In last year, we spent $1,000 on gift certificates of various local restaurants. And we started giving those cards, to our employees for, attaboy or just, hey, here's a monthly card for you to spend when you go out and spend it at a local restaurant, right? So, so we try to do our best. And, personally, I eat a lot out. I eat out a lot and I eat a lot. So,
Good combination.
Yeah. So I'm spending some of my waistline says I eat a lot. So I'm doing my best to personally, spend. But that like I said, we're blessed. Our industry is it's federal spending, and the feds are spending like crazy right now. So, I see that for us as a positive. Me as a taxpayer, I don't see that as a positive, but what can you do? Yeah, thanks for the offer of support, but I'm waiting for the government to do what they need to do, right?
Okay, Manny, there is one question in the Q&A. Gina says, what other gaps are you seeing in the logistics or the supply chain? Like you mentioned lumber and you mentioned the microchips. Do you see it in plumbing? Do you see it in any services or?
Well, I think it's from the construction side, it's whatever resource out there. The supplies are impacted. Whatever it will be. There's a lot of price changes. We're starting to see some fuel changes, fuel increases as well, right? And I think that's due to a couple of different things that just recently happened. But that could be a problem, and there's certainly a part of our budget, for any given project. On the services side, we have to produce a design and construction estimate for the client, and so we have to take some of those things into account. So we're recalibrating our adjustments and the factors that we use, to estimate fuel and supply cost. And of course, the clients aren't happy with that, right? The VA will say, well, why is it so expensive? Well, here's the reason. There's a lot of impacts because of the pandemic. I think they're gradually accepting that, but their default position is always, why can't you save us more money, right? So there is a people resource problem too, I think. It's unusual to me that, or it's surprising, I guess, that we're supposed to have all these people looking for jobs, but it's hard to find people to work. So that's something that we're wrestling with, which is another kind of a result of this deferred projects, because when we have a contract that we're going after and it requires personnel resources, we plan ahead and we either gonna hire people or we're gonna, find subs. Some of those projects that were deferred have kind of screwed up our resourcing plan, right? And then now, the resourcing plan is affected by the lack of people that we need to put in those positions. So people, are also at a premium right now.
And we are hearing that the workforce issue is hitting every industry. It's not just you. So that's a problem to be tackled for sure. So thank you. Laurieann, someone wants to know, what are your hours? Are you open every day?
So currently we are open Wednesday through Sunday, 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. So we're just doing with our modified menu, combined lunch, dinner.
Okay.
Yeah.
But 8 p.m.'s good.
Sure.
And if you have a website where they can kind of check out your menu and confirm hours, or a Facebook page, that'd be great. Just get the word out to folks. I'm not seeing any other questions, so Laurieann's gonna put the info in the chat so that you can all be sure to plan your trip to the Manchester Grill. Adding that to your list of other local businesses that, of course, we're all going to continue supporting. I would like to ask Jamie to come online. I will thank again Manny and Laurieann for taking time today to share your COVID story. We really appreciate it. And we know that many other businesses have similar stories to share. So thank you. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Jamie.
All right.
update.
Well, first of all, I just want to give a shout out to the BEST program, because we a lot of times have people coming in that have, their great idea and don't have a lot of business background. And I'm very happy to point them to the BEST program for some basic training, because they don't know what they don't know at that point, and they're a little early, for us. So it's great to have them as a resource in the county. And the other thing I would say too is that, we're working with, a lot of people at this point, in particular restaurants. that didn't have, traditionally don't have high profit margins to begin with, and really working on them with them and looking on at your ability to, take on debt, try and predict the future, try and build resilience, into your business. And so that's what we do is, the one-on-one. We've got all sorts of resources in addition to the ones you've already heard about today that we can bring to you with individual advising, no cost, confidential. So we're working with a lot of people right now. It's fun too to see people putting the pandemic behind them, and we're working with people who are looking. They're working on opening businesses in downtown Bremerton and Poulsbo, and they're looking to expand a business. They're looking at how do I hire my first employee, and it's really exciting to be working with those folks. But just sort of in a pandemic wrap up, if it'll ever be a wrap up. One thing, I just feel like I'm, beating a dead horse here, but we just heard yesterday from the SBA that people who applied for the targeted or for the EIDL advance last year, a long time ago, they're only getting a 40% open rate. And this is for potentially up to $15,000 of tax-free money.
15.
Sorry?
So you said 15.
Yes, because it's 10,000 with if you're in an SBA designated low income area, and I say that very carefully because downtown Poulsbo is in this SBA low income area, so might not qualify as low income anyone else, but you have to have like a 30% economic loss for that first 10,000, and then after that you get an opportunity for another 5,000 if you have up to or 50% or more economic loss. But the fact that it's only that email with that opportunity is only getting open 40% of the time. It means that there's got to be more of you out there. I mean, just today, this morning, I got an email from somebody who said, I went and looked again, and here's what I got. And she had actually applied for something, but didn't realize she hadn't applied a form she needed to attach. And so the SBA really wants to give you this money. So they came back with an email to her and said, hey, you're in the process, but we need to get that form from you. So they're not giving up on people. They really want to give this money away. And there's other things too. The other thing I want to say is for businesses, existing businesses, there's some new loan products coming out with very great rates and opportunities. And so unfortunately, most of it still is about businesses that were in business before the pandemic started. So that's just the way it is right now. But for anybody, any business, happy to look at, all sorts of creative ways that we can look at, getting you where you need to be with your business. So it's confidential, no cost. Again, there's nothing we won't, help you work on.
And I will add that Jamie and I often refer clients back and forth. We do have some mutual clients that we may check on, but again, her clients, our clients are confidential.
Well, and I'm remiss because I shouldn't forget to, as always, Kita, I just feel like you expand my reach, and, we are just close partners, and I shouldn't forget to recognize you guys when I'm recognizing, all these other people as well. It's just been fantastic. And the other thing for the SBDC is lenders. When you're trying to get a loan, we have the lenders, they'll see that you might not be quite ready for a loan, but you could be, and they send them, they refer them to us to help them put that financial package together or figure out what they need to do to be viable, for a loan. So any of that, we're happy to do.
So you can help them determine if they haven't had their PPP loan forgiven yet, correct?
Oh, yeah.
And the go-to today is check your spam, trash, whatever in your email for a potential EIDL announcement. Correct.
Yeah, they started rolling out February 1st. But again, it's you have to have applied, and actually I think I have teed up information with the map. There we go. Because if you don't qualify as a low income area, then don't worry. I'm sorry, I'm really sorry, but you don't need to look if you don't qualify on this low income map. So
if you're on the map, you should check.
Yeah, and there is WSBDC.org. There is an upcoming PPP forgiveness webinar. Again, if you can just send me a question too, if you remember that there was one and can't find it. I can help direct you to that too.
All right, thanks, Jamie. And I think Joe's ready to wrap us up.
Well, I'm going to recognize Gina Schultz's question. How do business owners find the right lender to help them get a loan? And then the add-on, I was able to answer that one. And then the add-on was to purchase commercial property, which I'm less capable of answering. I think that if the pandemic's taught us anything, it's really important for business owners to have a relationship with a SBA preferred lender. We have so many great financial institutions operating in Kitsap that are SBA preferred lenders. In terms of commercial property, that feels like a deeper dive. First of all, I don't know. And second of all, it feels like a deeper dive given everything that's happening with asset prices right now and the future of commercial space, which we probably need to do a deeper dive on. Next month, we're thinking we're going to do a deeper dive on workforce. And that's what we're thinking about. But if you have ideas, just email us. There are our emails. Reach out to us anytime if you want help. And kind of one of the things Jamie does is provide advice and thoughts on lenders you can work with. So just email her at the link that's included there. Thanks, Kitsap. We appreciate you. Laurieann and Manny, here's to a great second half of 2021. Thank you for joining us so much. See everybody soon. See you July 8th. Talk to you later. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.